Eggs Benedict, in my opinion, one of the best breakfasts going. Or is it brunch or lunch?
It's whatever you want it to be. I've just had it for dinner.
But today we are going to make it completely from scratch. From delicious homemade English muffins to a beautifully rich, silky smooth Hollandaise sauce. Don't worry if you don't want to make it completely from scratch. I'll give you a few little tips along the way that'll make your life a little bit easier.
Let's begin by making the English muffins. Pour 200 millilitres of milk into a saucepan and place in 20 grams of butter. Place the pan over low heat until the butter just melts and the milk is lukewarm. Next, tip 270 grams of bread flour into a mixing bowl and make a well in the centre. Place 3.5 grams of dried yeast on one side and 3 grams of salt on the other. Pour the milk and butter mixture into the centre and then mix it together to form a dough. Dust a workbench with flour and then place the dough onto it. Knead and stretch it until it looks and feels a lot more smooth. Don't be afraid to add a little more flour if the dough feels a bit too wet and it's sticking to your hands too much, but the more you knead it, the less it will stick. Roll the dough into a ball and place it back into the bowl. Cover with a clean damp cloth and leave it to rise for 1 hour. After 1 hour, divide the dough into 7 equal pieces. You can weigh them on some scales if you want, and if you do, you want them to weigh around 70 grams each. Next, roll each piece of dough into a ball. You can do this by placing your hand over the top and then just pressing down gently. The friction between the bench and your hand will create a ball as you roll your hand around. Next, generously sprinkle a baking sheet with semolina and place the dough balls onto it. Then sprinkle on top again with more semolina and firmly press each dough ball down with your hand. Cover again with the damp cloth and leave it to rise for 1 to 1.5 hours. To cook the muffins, place a frying pan over medium-low heat. It's important not to have the pan too hot because they will cook too quickly on the outside and burn and not cook fully in the centre. So keep it on a nice medium-low to low heat and place in the muffins. Cook for 7 to 8 minutes on each side until golden brown. And then place onto a cooling rack to cool completely before you cut into them. Of course, if you don't have time or you don't fancy making your own English muffins, shop bought ones are perfectly fine for this recipe. Next, we're going to make the Hollandaise sauce. Now there's many ways to make a Hollandaise sauce and there's loads of great recipes out there, but I'm going to show you a more traditional way where you make a Hollandaise reduction before you make the Hollandaise sauce. And to do that, take a saucepan and place in 150 millilitres of white wine vinegar. Take 1 banana shallot, top and tail it, cut it in half and remove the skin. And then finely slice each half and add it into the vinegar. Drop in 1 to 2 sprigs of thyme and 1 teaspoon of black peppercorns. Place the pan over the heat and bring it to a boil. Reduce it down until you're left with half the amount of liquid. Pass the Hollandaise reduction through a sieve and discard the shallots, peppercorns and thyme. Leave the reduction to cool before we use it. If you want to skip the Hollandaise reduction completely, that's absolutely fine, and you can just add in 1 tablespoon of white wine vinegar or lemon juice instead. Place 2 egg yolks into a heat-proof bowl and then add in 1 tablespoon of Hollandaise reduction. Whisk them together until fully combined. Next, place a saucepan 1/4 full of water over the heat and bring it to a simmer. And then turn the heat to low and place the egg yolk mixture on top. Keep whisking the egg yolk mixture until it goes double in size, pale and nice and thick. Now you can take this a lot further than you would think. You've got to be careful that the eggs don't scramble here, but if you keep whisking, it shouldn't happen. And if you need to control the temperature a bit more, you can just lift the bowl off the pan and keep putting it back on as and when you need it. But just keep whisking it until it's nice and thick, and you can see that it'll almost hold its shape a little bit. When you reach that stage, take it immediately off the heat, and that's what makes a really stable Hollandaise sauce. If you don't get that stage right, there's a good chance that your eggs and butter will split when we come to add the butter. And then I place mine onto a tea towel because I'm going to have to pour with one hand and whisk with the other, and the tea towel just helps keep it in place. But if you've got someone there, ask them to hold the bowl for you and it makes it a lot easier, or ask them to stream in the butter for you. I'm going to gradually add 200 grams of melted butter or clarified butter. This is a clarified butter and I'll show you how to do that in a future video, but melted butter is just fine for this. Clarified butter is more traditional. And again, you need to keep whisking as you're pouring it in until the eggs have fully absorbed all of that butter and it's emulsified into a nice thick sauce. If the sauce becomes too thick, you can add in a few drops of warm water and whisk that in, and that just lets the sauce down a little bit. And it also helps to stabilize the sauce so you can add more butter into it. Keep going until all of the butter is incorporated, and then season it with a good pinch of salt and the juice of half a lemon. Whisk it together and make sure you taste it and adjust the seasoning with either more lemon juice or more salt or a bit of both until it tastes just right.
Yep, that tastes just right.
I would advise to use the sauce straight away, but if you do want to make it a little bit ahead of time, I wouldn't advise making it more than 2 hours ahead. If you do, place a piece of parchment paper pressed to the surface and this will stop it forming a skin. You can also use cling wrap for this, and then just keep it warm by placing it back over the pan that you used originally with the water in, but make sure it's off the heat this time. Also, when you come to use it, you might need to add a splash of water in just to let the sauce down again and give it a good whisk before you use it. Now I want to top my Eggs Benedict with a couple of nice rashers of crispy, streaky, smoky bacon. So just gently fry them in a frying pan until they're nice and crisp. To make perfect poached eggs, place a large saucepan full of water over the heat and bring it to a rolling boil. Then add in a splash of white wine vinegar. This just helps the poached egg keep its shape. And then crack your eggs into 2 ramekins. I do this just to make sure that no eggshell goes into my poached eggs. Turn the heat down on your pan so it comes to a nice gentle simmer, and then tip in your eggs. Set a 3-minute timer, and as soon as that timer goes off, remove your eggs from the pan and place them onto a plate with some kitchen towel. The kitchen towel's there just to absorb the excess water. Season with a pinch of salt and black pepper before serving. To serve, cut your English muffins in half and then place them onto the plate. I've decided to use Parma ham with mine, but you can use absolutely any type of ham that you like. And I just placed 1 to 2 slices over each half of muffin. Next, we'll place over those perfectly cooked poached eggs and then blanket them in that rich Hollandaise sauce. Finally, I like to finish mine with those rashers of crispy, streaky bacon. There's other varieties of this dish that follow the same cooking techniques. So if you used wilted spinach, it would be eggs Florentine. If you use smoked salmon, that will be eggs Royale. Or of course with ham, that's Eggs Benedict, and that's what we've done today. I hope you picked up a few cooking tips today, and I hope you enjoy trying it out for yourself. If you did enjoy it, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.